right, the amount of small businesses being sold is rising. Really interesting story here. Is the threat of higher taxes down the road for these guys? Up next, Mike Handelsman of BizBuySell.com. It's a marketplace for businesses that are for sale. He's going to join us with his valuable insight on that next.
Sales of small businesses gaining momentum in the third quarter despite uncertainty over taxes, government spending, and regulation.
Our next guest says that we are in a buyer's market for small businesses, but that could all change after December 31st. BizBuySell.com Group General Manager Mike Handelsman joins us from San Francisco. Mike, thank you for joining us. Can you give us an idea? Can you give us an idea of the type of companies we're talking about here? Your site lists 45,000 businesses for sale worldwide. What kind of businesses are these?
We really refer to them as Main Street businesses, so the majority are made up of retail shops, restaurants, service businesses, smaller manufacturing businesses. Most are selling for under $1 million.
But sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask who's buying, Mike.
People that are buying are largely, the unemployed workforce. Unemployment's still relatively high, about 8%. And so often in our economy in past recessions when the larger companies can't pick up the slack to increase employment, people turn to entrepreneurism, and those are the people who buy small businesses.
So give us an idea. I mean, small business has been part of the national conversation, a big part of it, as we talk about these tax hikes approaching at the end of the year and the fiscal cliff. What could this do to the sale of those small businesses that you're saying right now is doing quite well?
Yeah, we've seen certainly a slow and somewhat choppy recovery over the last 2 or so years since the big recession in 2008. The small business transaction market that we track tends to be moving in the right direction. In Q3 of 2012, small business transactions were up about 2.8% versus the prior year. And we're very concerned that if we do hit the fiscal cliff with the decrease in government spending and the increase in taxes, that's going to dramatically affect, first, the health of small business, which in turn makes them much less sellable, and therefore will impact the transactions of small businesses.
Now, Mike, we were just talking about cap gains and dividend taxes going up or likely to go up in 2013. That might work in the favor of people thinking to buy small business because folks who are skittish about putting their cash in the stock market might decide to take over a small company and go in, invest in the long term, actually own a company. Are you hopeful that that might happen?
Well, I think the way we look at it is when small business is thriving, that's when small businesses can change hands. 54% of the jobs in our economy, our private sector jobs in this economy, are provided by small businesses. So when small businesses are thriving, they can hire people, they can invest in the economy, and they can also turn over. And that turnover is what creates additional investment. When people, for example, who are unemployed decide to buy a small business, they'll often hire 1 or 2 new people. They'll often find ways to invest in the business and try and get it to grow. And that's the cycle that leads us out of recession and into more productive economic times.
So if I'm a small business and I'm hearing that you're saying it's a buyer's market for these small businesses, what could I do as a small business to make myself look good right now as we head towards the end of the year?
Well, one of the challenges with selling a small business is it takes time to prepare. We looked at the data recently to see is the pending fiscal cliff impacting the small business market. Is it creating an environment where people are looking to sell very quickly? And unfortunately, you can't package up and sell a business in a matter of 4 or 8 weeks. In general, it takes 6 to 12 months to prepare and sell a business. For those people who are looking to buy, it is a good market. Valuations are down for about 20% versus where they were in 2008. Prior to the recession back then. So it's a good time to buy. The challenge really is also in liquidity. There's not a lot of funding available for potential entrepreneurs to get access to capital to buy small businesses. And what that means is current business owners are often having to fund the transaction or provide financing to make the transaction happen. That also is in the favor of buyers right now.
Mike, estate tax is likely to go up as well. And might that mean, sort of against your interest, but might that mean a lot of kids that were expecting to get property from their parents, whether it's a small farm, a small business, whatever, they were thinking about turning it over, selling it, but because of that hike in the cap gains and the estate tax, they may decide to get in the business themselves instead of selling it.
It's possible. As we looked at the market at the end of this year, over the last month or 2, we were surprised to see that there wasn't a surge in people closing business transactions. We still think we may see a little bit of that over the next 3 to 4 weeks as deals that are very close to closing decide to actually make the deal happen so they can pay assumedly lower taxes this year. The other thing, though, is we have felt that the pending increase in taxes seems to be outweighed by the fact that the broader economy is having a big factor. So I think people are more inclined to say, do I want to get out of this business now or not, versus am I going to have to pay, a 5% greater share of capital gains taxes next year, or pay in a slightly higher tax rate.
BizBuySell.com is the name of the company. Group General Manager Mike Handelsman, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you.